Hi and welcome to Into Health. Today we're going to talk about the fire element, and how that manifests in nature and how that manifests in Chinese medicine. Okay, so there is also on my website, which is www.intohealth.org.uk, a newsletter that also represents this whole thing in writing, so you can also refer to that if you want to. Okay, so the fire element pertains to the epitome of the yang in nature. This is the culmination of the yang energy in nature, where it is represented by summer and those nice sunny days where you can feel the heat, and you can also see around in nature everything is coming to fruition, everything is getting ready to be harvested. In nature, the element that obviously manifests as the fire is the sun, and the sun is the one thing that provides warmth and nourishment to every being in planet Earth. So everybody depends on the sun to live, and this is pretty much what happens also in the body. So when the fire works well, you have a good balance between heat and cold, fire and water, which is pretty much what happens also in Chinese medicine. So the fire element is very much linked to the water, and one cannot live without the other, because they are the culmination of, one is the yang, the fire, and one is the yin, the water. If they didn't have the fire to control the water, or the water to control the fire, then the fire would just self-combust and just scorch everything around. The water would just solidify and become still and then just freeze. Okay, so fire and water need each other. And but in nature, when you see the summer, you see the trees full of fruit, the fields ready to be harvested. And if that doesn't happen, then there will be a bad crop that then will prepare you quite badly for the autumn and the winter to come. When we're talking about Chinese medicine, as we said, it is the most yang element. And in the human life cycle, it represents that part of the peak during the adult life where, you've reached your peak. You've got a family, you've got children that are already grown up and they're ready to leave the nest. You quite succeeded in your career. You're just ready to reap what you sowed, and therefore you can start sitting back and enjoy what you've done up to this point. The fire type person is a person that is quite extrovert, gregarious, it's the life of the party, and you can spot him in a group. They are the ones that are making jokes, they're very happy, very, very active. Okay, in the body there's 4 organs that correspond to the fire element: the heart and the small intestine, which are together. And then you've got the pericardium and the sanjiao. The sanjiao is also called the triple heater. The pericardium is the organ that surrounds the heart, that protects the heart. And the sanjiao is what I would basically correlate in Western medicine as lymphatic system. Okay, so the sanjiao is the equivalent of lymphatic system. Now, there's different things in Chinese medicine that the fire element does. First of all, is in charge of blood production. So the heart together with the lungs are basically transforming all the energy that is absorbed by the spleen and the stomach, is sent up to the heart and the lung to make blood, and then that blood, through the functions of the heart and the lungs, get distributed throughout the rest of the organs. So it's pretty much in charge of the blood circulation, and because of that, because obviously the blood reaches every organ, is very much connected with all the rest of the organs in the body. And there's different manifestation of the fire element in the body. First of all, the fire manifests in the tongue. So any problems with the fire element can also result in problems with the speech, stuttering, not being able to speak much, okay? The taste of fire is bitter, and the bitter taste can dry or drain the damp, but it can also clear excessive heat. And examples of food that are bitter is coffee, chocolate, rhubarb, watercress, pumpkin seeds, beer, and anything that is being burned. So a burnt toast, or even that sort of grilled meat that has got that sort of black charry bit, that's bitter taste, okay? Now, the fluid that is linked to the fire element is the sweat. So any issues with excessive sweating or lack of sweating, a Chinese medicine practitioner always looks at the heart and what's happening there. In the 5 element cycles, the fire is controlled by the water, which makes sense, and then the fire controls the metal, okay? So the fire controls the lung and the large intestine. So the majority of the time, if there's problems within organs, they will be linked to these two, okay? Now, the emotional part is quite important, because it's also one of the main things that comes up if there is a heart imbalance, okay? So the emotion linked to the fire or the heart element is joy, and the joy of pure life, and the joy of being with other people, connecting with other people, so being able to share and communicate with others. And an inability to do that will always manifest with a heart imbalance. But the opposite of joy is sadness, so also an imbalance in the heart can always bring elements of sadness in the person, okay? Now, there can be the excess joy that almost look like mania, or when people laugh at times where they shouldn't be laughing, or also this excessive sadness where people cannot experience joy. So the best way for me to show you an example of that would be if you know a bipolar person next to you, where they can manifest the lows where they're very low, depressed, they cannot even, almost catatonic, and the high of the bipolar disorder where they go into spree shopping, restless, they cannot sleep, they are super active, okay? That's a good way of representing the excesses of that emotion. Also very important to the heart is that it houses your soul, or your shen, what in Chinese medicine they call the shen. And that's what the spirit that manifests in the body through the eye. So that sparkle in the eye that you can see in people, or where you can almost like look the window of the soul, they say, is the eyes. So you're basically manifesting your spirit inside. And a lack of that is seen by that dull look that you can see sometimes. I can see it quite a lot in clients that are suffering from mental health disorders, and they're given medication for that. You can see a dullness in their eyes. Also, because of the blood circulation, most likely, if there's a problem with the fire element, there's also a problem with the face, with the color of your face, the complexion of your face. So very white and pale can manifest a lack of fire, and too much redness in the face can manifest a little bit of heat that has started to build up in your body. So when you're talking about the fire element being depleted, you're looking at a person that is quite unmotivated. Hold on, I forgot. The Shen also is in charge of your short-term memory and your concentration. So a problem with your fire element can also result in problems with that, okay? When the fire energy is depleted, you may have problems with blood circulation, cold hands and feet, problem with your temperature where you're feeling quite cold, there's the possibility of weight gain by fluid not being processed properly through the body, and that dullness in the spirit where you're feeling depressed, low mood, poor concentration, inability to concentrate. An excess in the fire element is going to also create problems with sleep, anxiety, mania, mental health issue, insomnia, inability to connect to people, and also an hypersexuality where the people have a lot of sex. It can also go into via the small intestine. It can go into the bladder, so people can also have a lot of urinary tract infections, mouth or tongue ulcers, chronic inflammation in the body. And then the other thing that the Shen is in charge of is the sleep, and especially the ability to go off to sleep. And because the Shen resides in the heart and it sort of gets replenished in the night, a good manifestation of a heart imbalance is insomnia, inability to fall asleep, waking up during the night, problems of this sort. So we're also in the next month, I'm gonna also create another newsletter with dietary advice, but I'm also creating a yoga class for the heart, for the fire element, where we're basically gonna activate and balance the channels of the heart, the small intestine, the pericardium and the sanjiao through some simple yoga asanas where you basically try to open up the channels of the arm. So all of these channels that I've mentioned, the 4 channels, are all located in the arm, okay? So it's all about opening this area, opening the chest, but also the upper back. All right, so that's all. If you've got any questions, please comment below and I'll be very happy to comment back and to answer back. And you also have got the resources of going into my website, which I'm going to mention below, and to read the newsletter. Thank you for watching, and push the subscribe button if you want to receive more notifications. Thank you, bye.